this event is being recorded. We have a large number of participants registered and online now. However, there are those who live in time zones that make it difficult for them to join us. So they have requested that we record so they can actually participate later. Okay, so my name is Joan Ryan. I'm a former member of the British Parliament, a former minister in the Tony Blair government, and I served as chair of Labour Friends of Israel for 4.5 years through some very difficult days amidst a rising tide of anti-Semitism. I'm a trustee of the British Friends of Merkavim, and I'm very honoured to serve this wonderful organisation. I started work in 1984 as a secondary school teacher, and I knew then, and I still know now, that teaching is one of the most important, useful jobs anyone can undertake. And if you want to make a difference and you want to change the world for the better, then education and teaching are absolutely fundamental to that. And that's why I feel so passionate about Merkavim and the work Merkavim does. And as many of you will know, Merkavim is an Israeli non-profit organisation dedicated to promoting diversity, inclusion, greater fairness in classrooms, communities and society. And Merkavim has trained over 4,000 educators in diversity who have influenced hundreds of thousands of young people across Israel. And thousands of students have also participated directly in Merkavim programs. But there is more, so much more still to be achieved. As British Friends of Merkavim, we actually do two things, as many of you will know. First, we raise funds for Merkavim's work in Israel. So thank you to all of you who are already supporters and to everybody else. We are so pleased to see you today. And secondly, British Friends of Merkavim strengthens UK-Israel bilateral relations. We do this through a better understanding of the challenges in building a fairer and shared society. So now let me introduce to you our amazing CEO, Michal Pinchuk. Michal has been with us for around about a year now, and we are so lucky to have her. She is an attorney, previously CEO of ASAF, working for refugees and asylum seekers in Israel, and before that a lawyer at the Association of Civil Rights in Israel. Michal, over to you, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, thank you, British Friends of Merkavim, for having us here today. Thank you, John, and thank you, Michael, for hosting us. I will have a short, I will share, I will want to share a screen.
You can do it.
I can do it. Let's see if I can do it. Yes, yes, I can. Just 1 minute. Sorry for this. Okay. Do you see it? No, you don't, not yet. Just 1 minute. Okay. Okay, I would just want to move to the beginning. Well, thank you again. Thank you, John. Actually, you said everything I planned to say about Merkavim Institute. I will only add that Merkavim was founded in 1998 by Mike Presker, who is here with us today, still a board member of Merkavim and one of the trustees of British Friends of Merkavim. I think you said everything I wanted to say about the organization, and we'll move to the program we all gathered here today to talk about. But before I tell you about the program, it is necessary to explain that the Israeli school system is separated into various Arabic and Hebrew speaking, or should I say Jewish streams. Usually Jewish teachers teach in Jewish schools and Arab teachers teach in Arab schools. Children and teachers rarely meet, they rarely interact with individuals from the other backgrounds. The system leads to a void in knowledge, which is often filled with stereotypes and fears. And our program started in 2014. Officially, it's a partnering program with the Ministry of Education and Social Equality. It started in 2014 with the aim of integrating 500 Arab teachers into the secular Jewish school stream in 5 years. I can tell you we've reached more than we hoped to. Initially, the project focused on Arab teachers of English, math, and science. But based on the success of the project, the Minister of Education expanded our mandate last year to include teachers of all general education subjects. As part of our partnership with the Minister of Education, the government provides 50% matching funding to Merchavim, and they also offer schools financial incentives to participate in the program by reimbursing them for additional teaching hours for Arab teachers. What is this program? What are we doing? Well, first of all, we meet the teacher even before they become teachers. We start by doing courses in multicultural pedagogy in the academic colleges. Afterward, we help finding out teachers that can really fit and start working in Jewish schools. We give them individual mentoring, we do group workshops, guidance to the teachers and to the Jewish principals. To add that, we do diversity training for Jewish colleagues in the schools they are integrated, all to make the integration of Arab teachers successful. We call it a win-win initiative. First of all, we address the teachers' shortage in the Jewish school stream. Second, we reduce unemployment among Arab teachers. And thirdly, we improve group relations by providing Arab and Jewish citizens with opportunities to meaningfully interact. You can see the numbers, how they grow throughout the years. We started in 2014. The numbers were low at the beginning, but slowly they grew. Last year, although it was a Corona year, we managed to integrate 110 teachers in Jewish schools. This year, and we haven't finished yet, we are still working on it, we're talking about 115. Altogether, we've managed to integrate more than 450 participants across 235 schools. Just a few years ago, it was extremely rare to find an Arab citizen teacher at a Jewish school. Today, there are over 1,000 such teachers throughout the country. We see Merchavim as a major player in changing the integration landscape on the national level. Since it is such a successful project, we launched similar initiatives for Ethiopian Israeli teachers and teachers with disabilities. We at Merchavim believe that each Arab Israeli citizen who teaches at a Jewish school creates a ripple effect, positively impacting their entire school and wider community. To share more about this program and the integration process, I'm now going to turn to Mr. Michael Wigger, who will lead a conversation with the participating teachers and the Merchavim team. To you, Michael.
Michal, stop share, please.
Okay. I did.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Michael Uyghur.
1 minute, Michael.
Sure, you're going to spotlight me.
I need to find you.
I'm here.
Yeah.
There we go. Good evening. My name is Michael Uyghur. It's a pleasure to see so many familiar faces and to see some new ones as well. I too am a trustee of the British Friends of Merchavim. In my other life, I'm the interim chief executive of the Board of Deputies of British Jews. And I've worked very closely with Merchavim over many, many years in Israel, and goes all the way back to Melitz, where I worked with Mike Prashka back in the early 90s. I really consider it an honor to be part of Merchavim's work. I think that in all the years I was at UJA as chief executive, and before that as a program director, I was always very struck by the amazingly important work that Merchavim is involved with in building shared society in Israel and really developing the idea of shared citizenship. And it's a privilege to be able to carry on that work now as a trustee. We are joined today by three wonderful educators who are part of the Merchavim program of bringing Arab teachers to work in Jewish schools. We have Ms. Shuruk Awad, an English teacher from the village of Ibilin in northern Israel, who has taught for 2 years in a Jewish school in Akko, which, as you'll know, is a mixed Jewish Arab town. And she will begin in this new school year in Tiberias in Ma'aleh Ort School. We also have with us Dr. Soher Bashara from Tira in the Central Triangle, the Mushulash as it's called. And she's now in her 2nd year teaching in a Jewish school near Ranana, a place called Naveh Zemer. And thirdly, we're joined by Ms. Samach Sach from the Arab town of Dir Hanna in the north, who is one of the Merchavim team. And she's involved in both pre and in-service training. So I'm going to spend a few minutes asking the three of them, some questions. I know I've been rambling on for a bit long, but I'm going to ask you all to give as brief answers as you possibly can so we can get through the questions. And then we're going to open up questions to everybody in the Zoom. And I would please ask you to put your questions in the chat and I'll monitor them. And we will get through as many questions as we possibly can over the next little while. So if I could please ask each of you to introduce yourselves with a little bit more detail and explain what drove you to decide to work in a Jewish school, and what was the reaction by your friends and family that made you do this? Why was it so important to you? So I'm going to start with Shuruk. If you could please spend a couple of minutes giving us your answer.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I want to add that in addition to my position as an English teacher, I also a group facilitator for Jewish Arab youth dialogue groups. I live in Abilene with my husband, my son, and my daughter. I hold a degree in social work, youth expertise, and my master. I did my master in migration and social integration. Regarding my decision to teach in Jewish school, I think this decision reflects my desire to be a good, real, equal citizen in Israel and loyal citizen. I think also as a Palestinian teacher who belongs to the minority in Israel, that is teaching students who belong to the majority, it sits me in the mainstream of the society and gives me opportunity to promote values and to demonstrate values that can demonstrate the values of peace, of shared citizenship, of justice. I think we have a golden opportunity to take part in by educating the future generation.
Thank you so much. Let me move on to Dr. Soada Bashara. What will be your answer to the question? A little bit more about yourself.
Hello, my name is Swar. This is the second year in my Jewish school in University of Ranana, but 9 years with Misrad Chinuch, so this is not my first year in the teaching and learning. Actually, I have a PhD from University in Tel Aviv, English department, and I taught also before, but not in the program of Merchavim. Actually, we deserve to teach in Jewish schools because we are part of this country. And I decided really to be in Jewish school because also to develop also my language in Hebrew, all the time talking English and Arabic. And I need to develop my careers and my work. So I thought that I'm going really to develop also my projects or my teaching. And actually, I got a lot of levels. I have made great progress in a Jewish school. I got the position of deputy director. And I'm all the time with them, visiting their malls, going to Kfar Saba. I did a lot of things, so I deserve to be there, to learn there, to be equal. So
Thank you. That's great. And finally, on this question, I'd like to turn to Samach and get a little bit more about yourself. Thank you.
So hello everyone, good evening. My name is Samach. Before start working at Merchavim program, I was an English teacher. I taught at the north of Israel, and then I moved to a Jewish school at the south where my family lives. I think for the first year I was at Jewish school, I had a lot of things going on, lots of difficulties also. And without the Merchavim support, I don't think I could continue at the school, say like this. And I think I joined Merchavim for a purpose, for a reason, because I want to make that change. I faced so many things that I don't want other teachers to face. And I think we will have the opportunity to share with you all the things that Arab teachers go through when they teach at Jewish schools. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to go to my second question now. I'm going to ask Shuruk to go first. So we'll alternate who goes first each time. And I would really like each of you to reflect on one incident that happened, one or two incidents that have happened in the classroom that really brought home the tension or the challenge of being a Palestinian teacher in a Jewish school, and something which you could share with everybody in the meeting, an event that happened that really caused you to reflect deeply on that situation. So let me start with Soher this time.
Me, Swar.
Yeah, thank you. So I got that wrong before. Start with Soher now. Thank you.
Swar, this is my name. It's hard really, but it's okay. If I'm going really to talk about a lot of things happen in the school, on the class, it was so hard. 2 years, it's not easy really to be in Jewish school because an Arab sector, and it's not really easy to be there from the staff. after other cases, actually, that between Israel and Gaza this year and the Corona situation, it was so hard. There has been a change in staff behavior, the children, because I'm an Arab and from the sector, but I wasn't worried because Merkhavim, I know that I have a backup from Merkhavim Institute. It has a lot of questions from the school, from the children, from the parents, from the staff. All the students start really asking all sorts of questions about what are you doing here? You are an Arab, you are a Palestinian. How can you really start teach here? How do you know this language? How do you know to speak Hebrew? How do you know to speak English? From where all of these situations? But actually, I took a lot of support from Merkhavim, Samah, Kamal. A lot of them, I talk with them, call them, they stay with me in touch all the time. A situation in class, got to say that headmistress wanted to cut me down from the poetry. So I called also Merkhavim that the headmistress wanted to cut down all the hours and she wants really from me to give her just 10 hours from I have full poetry. So as not to touch me in hours, so I got all good deed from them, from Merkhavim. It's not easy. It's not really, this year was so hard. Corona situation, Israel, to us a lot of things. Parents got a lot of questions, but I surprised that Merkhavim did a lot of things. A lot of questions from the children start to really, how do you stay here? What are you doing here? After all the war in Israel, Gaza, Arabs, you did a lot of things to us. What are you doing here? I heard a lot of things, but I improved myself there. I have a backup from Merkhavim. I have a backup from me. I'm a strong woman. I have a lot of things ready to say, but actually it passed. I need really to say that.
Yeah, there's no point putting sugar on it and pretending it's not bad if it is. You're quite right to do that.
No.
Let me turn to Samah now.
Okay. Now I'm talking as Samah as a teacher. Okay. I remember one time I entered a 5th grade class, and they start shouting, sorry, Allah Akbar, Muhammad is a big, all Arabs should die. And yeah, every single time I entered that class, those things happened. And I remember going home crying, telling my parents that that's it. I don't want to continue there. I want to go back to the north. I have no problem to travel for 4 hours every day. And I don't want the nearest school as Carmel, that is, I think, 20 hours from my home. So this is something that we deal with. Yeah.
Thank you. And finally, on this question, turn to Shuluk.
Okay, I can also share about what happened in one of my class rooms. When I entered to a class at maybe it was 1:30, maybe it was 1 o'clock, I don't remember, and it was dirty and there was a lot of mess in the class. And then I asked my students, suggested them, let's arrange the class and clean it before we start our lesson. And then we started to clean the classroom, and I hear one of my students tell his friends, for sure there has been an Arab teacher here before that. And then I was shocked because he was a student that I helped a lot, supported during the year. he was my favorite student in this class, really. And then he said, Shuruk, Shuruk, you have to understand me. I don't like Arabs. All the Arabs about you, you are a special Arab. I like you because you are special, but I don't like Arabs. And you can imagine how can you continue in this lesson. Yeah, I had to breathe deeply and to continue in this class. But I told him that I don't like what he's saying now, and I had to continue I remember in that lesson, I couldn't I couldn't have an eye contact with him. It was very hard to me. And then we talked about it later, and yeah, it's not easy.
Very difficult stuff. Thank you all very much. I'm going to have one more question for the three of you, and then I'm going to open it up to everybody in the Zoom. And I would remind you again to please put your questions in the chat if you can. So this has been a very difficult year for teachers. I think teachers have probably borne a great deal of the pressure for families over the last year. And I wondered if you could share a little bit about how you functioned in the pressure of working with coronavirus, and particularly any support and training that you got from Merchavim in your work. So that would be love to hear about that. And this time I would like to start with Samach.
I was going to tell you that let's give Shuruk and Siwar the opportunity to talk about it, because I want to share with all of you something. So Shuruk or Siwar.
Actually, I don't care if you want really to start at Shuruk or me, but we took the support from Samach this year. So all the time we talked with her. So we took the support from Merchavim, from Samach or Kamal, but she was all the time in the first magician. Shuruk, can I start or it's okay?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Ah, good. It was really hard year. Corona, war, a lot of things. We are not also a lot of years in Jewish schools, okay? This is just the second year. And we started that last year with a lot of difficulties and continue in this year. So the support that I took from Merchavim, first of all, stay in touch with us. It's a more important thing that they are not ignore our calls and they stay in touch with us. I took a call from Samach twice a week, every week, twice a week. How do you feel? How do you doing? It's okay. Something happened with the principal, something happened with the new teachers. Would you like to say something? Are you afraid? We are here. So when it started really the war, I was afraid that the pupils not going to choose me again because I'm the English, the only English teacher at the school. But Merchavim Institute really support in difficult time and stay in touch with us. The headmistress wanted to cut me down from the hours, and Samach stay with me, and she called her, and it was really a hard week because she wanted from me to go outside from the school, and she wants a Jewish teacher, not an Arab teacher. She talked with someone, interviewed her with Zoom. She was from New York, and she doesn't want to stay with Arab teachers. Just only the Arab teacher in the school. But Samach, Kamal, and someone else really with the rules of all the rules. stay with me. It was really hard 2 weeks for me. And I stay with my hours for this year. I'm going to stay in my sport, on my job, in the same school. It was
Fantastic.
really hard week.
Thank you. Shuruk, over to you.
Okay. I remember that on May I sent Samah a message and told her that Samah, I don't think that I want to continue teaching in Jewish schools. So I will finish this year in Akko, and please don't send me to another school. I don't think I have the ability to have another difficult year as the year that as this year. It was really a difficult year, and I had some crises during this year. I can start talking about to share with you an event that happened in my Telem class, when one of my students told me, if you don't like the life in Israel and you are not, you don't agree for what our government is doing, you can go to Gaza. And you have to say thank you that you have a work, you have a job, and you have a house. How you dare and you say that you are against the war. And this student also was a student that got a lot of support from me. And this this class, we call it Telem because it is a very challenged class. And I remember myself fought for each student during this year in distance learning. I even gave them enrichment hours on the expenses of my free time. And even in Hanukkah vacation, I give them enrichment hours in order to help them to improve their English. And to hear such things at the end of the year, it was frustrating to me. I felt that what I am doing here, there is no hope that we can change anything. And I remember a lot of support from Samah, from Shimon, from Kamal. I even remember that. Do you remember, Samah, when you and Shimon and Kamal conducted an emergency meeting on Zoom to support me? I was really in very, I can't even explain how much I felt bad at that month after the war. Yeah. Without Merchavim, I won't continue. I would not continue in Jewish schools. Really.
It's amazing to hear. Samah, give us just a couple of minutes from your perspective on the support you give to the teachers, and then we're going to open it up to the meeting.
Okay, I'm going to share a screen, just a minute. Can you see?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So here we have mails that I get from teachers, from Arab teachers that are looking for a job. We have more than 15,000 Arab teachers that are employed. They have no job at all. And here we can say Jewish schools that are looking for teachers, that I'm talking about more than 300 Jewish schools are looking for teachers. And we say, okay, let's take all the Arabs and put them in Jewish schools. As Michal said, it's a win-win situation. But when we face the real life, here we have two posts at Facebook. This one is for a Jewish math teacher that is looking for a job, and she posted at Facebook and she got 35 comments. And here we have an Arab math teacher with an MTeach that is looking for a job, and she only gets 5 comments. So what we do at Merchavim, we turn to those schools and we tell them, we can help you with hours that we get from the Ministry of Education at Israel. And also those teachers will have us for the whole year. It's like we're not going to let them, okay, go to Jewish school and swim alone, okay? Because it's obvious what's going to happen. Also, all the teachers that returned for Jewish schools have interviews, job interviews with the staff, with the team staff. Also, as Michal said, we went for the colleges all over the country, and there we had courses for the students that want to teach at Jewish schools. Here we have a course in a Hebrew language that all the teachers that is going to start next year at Jewish schools have this course. It helps them with the language, with the Hebrew language, and also they learn more about the Jewish culture, what to do, what is wrong, what is right, and all that stuff. Also, we brought principals from the program for those students to talk and to let the students ask, and also that the principals talked about what they want. An Arab teacher is going to teach at Jewish school. What do they want from him? And here we have teachers from the program that also went to those, entered those meetings, and the students asked them questions. We also have further education courses that we pass for our teachers, 2 courses a year. This course is about 10 meetings. Each meeting is for 3 hours. And we have also a course for 3 days that they go there, meet each other, and learn also. Meetings, we go to those schools, to those teachers, and we meet them. We hear about their difficulties, success stories, and the things they deal with at Jewish schools.
So, Sama, can I ask you to bring it to a close in the next minute or so, just so we can get to some questions?
We're going to the May events. I'm just gonna say a couple, 2 words, and that's it. I'm gonna end. The WhatsApp groups, supporting groups. Here at the WhatsApp group, at the May events, we can see here the teachers are talking to each other. Do you want to go to school? Do you want to go back to school? They're supporting each other also. Here we can say we ask the teachers at the May events, what do you feel? So we can say here, we can see here, I feel so helpless, worried, and disappointed. And this is one thing. I feel a lot of pain. I feel a lot of fear, and all that stuff. That's it.
Good. Thank you very much. Sorry to have rushed you, but I do want to make sure that we get a chance for people to ask questions. Please, can we take off the screen share?
Yeah, just a minute.
That'd be great. And I've got the first question I have from Robin Moss, which maybe we'll ask Suad and Sharuk to answer. Are the school authorities supportive of teachers when racist incidents happen? Or do they take the view that they cannot be responsible for young people's prejudices? So, Suad, do you want to start with that?
Yes, sorry, can you repeat that question again? So sorry.
Sure. When racist incidents happen at school, are the school leadership, are they supportive? Do they
You're
support?
talking, the school support me? No. The staff and the children, the parents, no, they are not support me in this situation. I didn't take any support from this school. Also, after all these things and situation of Israel, Gaza, Corona, and all of this, the school wanted really to send me out, not to stay with me. I didn't take support from the school.
Very depressing. Shaduk, similar?
I didn't get any support from the school. I remember that one day I got a call from the counselor, and she asked me that Shuruk students say that you are against Israel. What do you have to say? And then I replied that it is not right. I just, as you asked, okay. Do I have enough time to explain, or?
Yes,
Very
continue.
quickly.
Yeah, to continue. Okay, so I explained that we just had a discussion, and I asked them about their feelings, and they started to attack Arabs and say that Arabs are barbarians and that we have to bomb them. And then I said that I hope that peace will come one day, and we have to find the way to live with each other. And and I reminded them that the Palestinians are also my people, and we live with Jews. They are both our people. So they didn't accept my point of view that I am against the war and I believe in peace. Their educator of this class, of this specific class, he didn't want to talk about this issue. He just didn't like what happened, and that's it. I don't want to talk about it.
I got to say something. I'm sorry that I'm going really to interrupt, but in that time I download the story, not a story, it's like a picture in my status for the WhatsApp, and it was really something differently about this situation. It wasn't in Dresden, in the Gaza or Israel or something. It was a picture of lights, and it was a sentence in Arabic. So someone really from the parents captured the screen, take a screenshot and send this for the principal, and also for Gila Mivakachat, the instruction about the elementary schools. So he translated this in his situation, but they didn't ask me anything. Just send me an email that you are not going to continue in this situation. You started to talk about politics, and you download a picture about the situation of Israel and Gaza. And I say that it's not necessarily to translate this how do you want, because if I'm talking about the sentences in Arabic, it was a lot of different issues. Actually, in the language of Arabic, you cannot really translate it what you want, because you have a lot of definition here. So they took a definition about Israel and Gaza and stated in Quran. I don't know how they really started really to translate it. And I took the support from Merchavim, because they thought that I'm talking about politics and in the social media, and it wasn't. It wasn't.
I'm going to move to a different question. Thank you very much. Question here from Rachel Warnick, who is the Director of Programs at Professors Without Borders. She's very interested in the transferability of your model. Could it be applied in other countries, other contexts around the world? Maybe Samach, you'll take that question.
Our model, like as our teachers go and teach at Jewish schools?
Or in different countries where one ethnic group went to, their teachers taught in the majority ethnic culture of a different country?
I think when you go to different culture and ask to do that mix, you have to have something to offer them. we come here and say, okay, we offer you hours, extra hours, and that the one thing that the principals hears, okay, extra hours, I will think about it. And
mean for
here we
extended
said
school
also,
day?
yeah, you have to have something to offer them. Without, I'm telling you, I have lots of principals that I that I talk to, and at first, when I say an Arab teacher will come and teach at your school, the first answer I get is a no. And then when I say, okay, I can help you with hours, and the teacher will get the support, you will get the support, because principals also get the support from the Merkhavim program. So I hope I answered.
Thank you. We've had a couple of questions, so I'm going to combine one from Stuart McDonald and one from Rachel Norman. Has the experience of being an Arab teacher in a Jewish school, has it affected your identity as an Arab citizen of Israel? And is there anything either positive or negative that you're thinking about going forward in the future? So maybe I'll start with Suad, and then we'll go to Shuluk. I know you're
sorry. Yeah, on the mute. Something negative or positive for what? For to stay in the Jewish school. Positive. I have made great progress. That I took a lot of got a position of deputy director. An English teacher, so the next year is going to be staff of English teachers, not the only one. I hope that not going to change their behavior, the staff. But you know, teacher with a management role, it will be different treat. So till now, I feel good that it's positive. Negative, maybe the principal decide really to change the Arab situation. I wouldn't want to stay with them. I don't know.
And when you look at the future, are you more optimistic or more pessimistic about your future?
I'm all the time optimistic. I'm all the time thinking about this. With Merkhavim, I'm going to stay with this project. It's perfect. Yeah. If I'm alone, I'm not going really to stay with Jewish school. I was really going with Arab schools to be there, but I have support.
And Shuluk. Shuluk, please.
Can I start? Okay. I think that the personal relation that we establish with our students can humanize the conflict, the political and social conflict that we have in between the two people here. I think after 2 years as a teacher, I will start to talk about myself, how this experience affects me. After 2 years as a teacher in a Jewish school, the Jewish people are not anymore Netanyahu and Bennett. They are my colleagues and my lovely students that I really love them as my kids, as my own kids. So I think I have another viewpoint for the things. They are more humanized. I always have a human view of point, but now it is more it has more life, it's more, and I think the same to my students. Do you know that some of my students, one of my students told me that she wants to be like me when she grow up. She looks, she see me as a role model, and and even the students that attacked me after the war, one of them sent me a message when at the end of the year, and he apologized. He sent me an apologize for his behavior with me, and he thanked me for my patience and my for being a very good teacher for him.
Great.
So I think the crisis that we passed together also empower us in order to build a shared citizenship or shared society in the future, I think.
Thank you very, very much. And our time is coming to a close. So I want to thank the three of you very, very much for, probably in your third language, speaking with us this evening. And to start drawing things to a conclusion, I'm going to ask Mike Prashka, who is the founder of Merchavim, was its director, and is now the chair of the trustee board of the British Friends of Merchavim. Over to you, Mike.
Thank you, Michael.
Mike, 1 minute.
Thanks.
Where are you, Mike? Inata.
Thank you so much. I'm so and thank you to the teachers and to Samach. Michael, by the way, I didn't know that I was the chair of the board. I thought you were, but we'll settle that after the call. I just want to make a few points, and then one kind of emotional point from the perspective of time, having had the privilege to start this program over a decade ago, starting thinking about it. First of all, one point is that in Israel, the schools are separated, they're not segregated. And these are challenges that, and Rachel Warnick, who we've already agreed on this call that we're going to speak, these are issues around the world. I've been to schools in areas in the UK of high immigration, where generally the Christians and white faces in the schools are the teachers, and the kids are not seeing role models in the schools. So this plays out really in every country I've spoken on this issue about. One key issue and how this program came about, and it shows the corrosive power of language to exclude and include. Before we started this program, there was a great deal of talk in Israel about there not being enough teachers. But what they actually meant was there's not enough Jewish Israeli teachers. And it turned out that 10,000 qualified Arab Israeli teachers were simply invisible. And that's the power of language to exclude. And so, for example, when we say Israelis and Arabs, and we mean Jewish and Arab citizens of Israel, or Israelis and Ethiopians, we exclude communities, and that's really very, very corrosive. Why this initiative works in hindsight? It works because it makes structural and systems change. The institutions change. It works because it impacts power relations. Power relations matters a great deal. And when Jewish parents are phoning an Arab teacher to ask about how Yossi is getting on in math, that matters. It has also mattered a great deal that this initiative has very great economic benefits, and the finance ministry in Israel has acknowledged these. So we have to look for these kind of win-win opportunities. And another reason it's succeeded, and it's also very part of Merchavim's change strategy from day one, is it works in partnership with government, which isn't always easy. But if you want to make systems change, then you have to work with the people directing the systems. overall, of course, this program works because of the heroes who are the teachers supported by Mir Chavim's team. And I just heard and got emotional and know, especially when the missiles are flying, how harsh it is and how brave. And of the 1,000 Arab, Palestinian, Israeli teachers integrated in Jewish schools, they're almost all young women. Just the bravery and leadership and commitment is wonderful. I want to end with a sentence on historical perspective, because many of the people on this call have been invested in different ways over decades in strengthening relations between citizens of Israel of all backgrounds. And I can, with looking back in history, 20 years ago, when the Second Intifada broke out, there were violence and deaths of Arab citizens, and it was a very difficult time. Everything broke down between Jewish and Arab citizens of Israel. It took a year for the community of professionals to begin speaking again. But 20 years on, the network of relationships is so thick. When we think about every teacher working with many classrooms and schools and parents and those communities, of course, this is only one initiative, an important one, but it's only one. So we've seen after the nightmare of the recent fighting and the conflicts in some of Israel's mixed cities, not all, we've seen things that I couldn't imagine 20 years ago. We've seen Israeli industry step up and say, we're going to create a stronger shared future. We've seen the Arab Palestinian Israeli chairman of Israel's largest bank say the banking sector is going to push through and stand behind shaping a better shared future. So we've made enormous progress. That's also because of everyone who's been involved. But on the forefront of that are these fantastic young teachers. And it's a great privilege and responsibility. And I thank Michal and the Mir Chavim team, and it's a significant sized team. Savach is part of that team. Michal leads it, but to support these teachers. They're young citizens of Israel. They're taking leadership roles. They deserve and they need our support. And you've got it. You've got it. And I just want to hand over to Joan to wrap up. And thank you all for being on this call and caring about the issue. Joan?
Thank you, Mike. I'm not on mute, am I now? And just to echo what you've said, to thank everybody who's participated, but particularly our teachers. I think it's been absolutely illuminating about the work Mir Chavim does and how important it is, and the change that can be achieved. But it demands commitment from everybody, from the board, from Michal and the staff, from everyone who supports Mir Chavim, and from our donors, because we all know that nothing can happen unless we have the resource to make it happen. So thank you everybody for being part of this event. I think events like this are really important because everybody can imagine what we might do or what it might feel like or what it's like for these young women teachers. But to actually hear and to be part of this and to hear from the people, I think as teachers we used to call it the chalk face, but I guess it's the internet face these days. To hear from the people actually delivering this and the people constructing the programs and supporting the teachers, and then to hear the impact that has. Because I thought the very best part was where our two teachers, having outlined how difficult things can and have been, just how optimistic they are and how much hope they have because of what they do and see and experience. And if they can do that, the very least we can all do is make sure that we give them every possible support. Thank you very much, everybody. We should clap, shouldn't we? It feels like something should happen.
Thank you very much, everyone, really. Thank you, John, for wrapping up so nicely.
It's so fantastic an organisation to be involved with. It's a real privilege to be part of this.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, so much. Errol, you got some joy from what you established?
Well,
Proud? You feeling proud? I hope so.
well, I think the teachers have taught us a huge lesson about commitment and dedication. And I think everyone on this call, those who are not directly involved with Merchavim, I hope they really understood the impact that Merchavim makes, because whenever I explain this program to anyone, they think the win-win is to take an unemployed person and give them a job. Of course, that's fantastic. But the real win-win is the integrated effort between the professionals, the teacher, the group of teachers that they've landed in, the students that they're working with, to come together to recognize their common destiny and the things they have in common that can make their lives be very constructive together. So fantastic and inspiring to hear this firsthand. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good night.
Go well.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Can you keep things open for a second? Someone is just writing to me. Can you, Nati, keep things open?
Yes.
Brilliant. Who else is still here? Who else is
I'm
still
Stuart.
Stuart, hi, Stuart. How was it?
I thought it was extraordinary. I think all credit to the teachers for, in effect, teaching us. That's what you did. You did teach us something. You taught me something. The way in which, as someone else mentioned, you spoke so passionately and without any filters at all about the difficulties that you've faced, the horrible difficulties you've faced. And yet at the same time, your essential optimism just shone through, and the way you brought it round was fantastic. It was inspiring. That's what I think. So all credit to the teachers. Excellent.
I'm not sure. I think that there are a few people are still on here, which is great, but I think we just need to make sure that we know who's on. Alan, is that Alan Fox still on?
Yep. No.
Alan? That's Brian. You're not Alan Fox, you're Brian.
Nope.
Martin.
I'm still on. It was powerful, Mike. Really, really powerful. Salutary as well.
Alan, how great to see you.
Well, this has been a terrific discussion. I'm so impressed with the teachers. They're heroes.
Alan, where are you based? Where are you joining us from?
Toronto, Canada.
A fine community.
Yeah. Well, but I don't.
Alan, how do you connect with us? I'm trying to think.
Well, 2 or 3 years ago, there was a visit of some of your leaders here, and I attended.
Oh, when I spoke at the consulate. Were you at the consulate, the Israeli consulate? I gave a book talk.
No, it was some other discussions, and then in February 2019, my wife and I were in Israel, and we had connected with some of those leaders, and we were invited to an excursion to the Nathan Museum. Is it Nathan Museum or someone's museum?
Right.
And there were 2 buses who were going on excursions, one from a Jewish school, one from an Arab school. And we were part of that visit, and I was very impressed. I'm very much attached to hand-in-hand schools where all the
Absolutely.
kids.
So you know my friend Stuart Brown very well.
Oh, yes, of course. We've met him a number of times. So with that as a marker where the kids all speak both languages, I looked at these kids, they didn't speak the languages, but they were doing excursions together, and they did have some crossover, and I was very impressed.
So Alan, I wonder, just because can you give me your email and you and I will continue this conversation? We'll schedule some time to chat.
Oh, yes.
So
My
what is
email,
yeah.
I'm happy to give to anyone.
Give it to me. Give it to me. Don't publicize it.
AJFOX, which is
AJ Fox
at
Yeah.
uwo.ca. That's University of
You as in
Western.
Uncle Weather Orange, excuse my imagination.
UWO, University of Western Ontario. And I
Oh,
like
I
that
see.
email because there's very few characters if I give it to someone. It's very short.
It's very short. I'm going to drop your note after this and we'll schedule some time, Alan.
Thank you.
Brilliant. So thanks so much for participating, and we shall speak. We'll Zoom. Shula.
Yes.
Shula, I want to just, because we need to round up. I don't want to keep anyone on, but I understand you're from the
Jewish Independent in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Okay, so lovely to speak. And so can you and I just have a chat? Could you give me your email and we'll connect?
I sent it to you by text in the chat section there.
Yeah, but
it's just.
Hold on, let me just see if I can. I'm not very.
It's my email. My email is very simple. It's just my name, Shula Klinger @gmail.com. Klinger is spelled with a K.
Hold on one second. I'm just coming back. So now
of course.
Shula, SHULA Klinger, KLINGER
at gmail.com.
Gmail.com. So I'll drop you a note and it will be lovely to speak.
Yes, I would love to connect.
Okay.
Mike, I'm sorry that I'm ready to interrupt you. Would you like to stay with this conversation with me, or can I leave the meeting?
That it depends.
Thank you.
You're the teacher. We don't want to upset you. I think you can, but you've been
It's okay, so I can leave.
Yeah, you need to just.
You're an absolute star.
Thank you so much. I love this. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye. Bye. Bye, Suar.
Bye, Suar.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Mike, I made you host, so
Okay.
you can manage the meeting.
Okay.
Also, I will tell you, everybody, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Natty. Sorry.
I think, Susan, thanks, Matty. I think quite a lot of us are on still, so we just need to be aware that there are people on that, I mean, we don't want to say